and welcome to Unews for this Wednesday, March 11th. I'm Andrea Linares. We begin today with the growing spread of coronavirus. World Health Organization officials now calling it a pandemic. And here's the very latest that we know at this time. In the U.S., there are now a total of 1,050 confirmed cases. 29 people have died from the virus here. 39 states, including the District of Columbia, have reported cases. Meanwhile, American health officials are warning lawmakers to expect things to get worse. But as the numbers climb in the U.S., World Health Organization officials say 70% of coronavirus patients in China, the epicenter of this outbreak, have fully recovered. And now Lorraine Cáceres has a complete roundup of what's happening around the country. In Washington state, the governor is forecasting the state will have more than 60,000 cases soon if the spread continues there at the same speed. Meanwhile, Colorado has set up drive-up coronavirus testing centers to maximize testing without overcrowding emergency rooms. Back to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Lorraine Cáceres, for that report. And also a containment area has been set up around the town of New Rochelle, just north of New York City. This after coronavirus cases jumped from 1 to 100 in less than 10 days. Now, the state's governor is deploying the National Guard to assist with food deliveries and also to clean public spaces. Nayeli Chavez-Geller is live in New Rochelle. Nayeli, what's the latest?
Good afternoon, Andrea. We're standing outside City Hall here in the city of New Rochelle, near the perimeter of what is being referred to as a 1-mile radius containment zone. And as you mentioned yesterday, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced the deployment of the National Guard, which as of tomorrow will start assisting residents subjected to quarantine.
Know about the residents in the containment zone. Can they leave that area, or are they just simply stuck in their homes?
Well, actually, authorities have said that these residents are not going to be restricted to leave their homes. They can actually go outside, buy groceries, but what is being discouraged are the large gatherings, as Lorraine mentioned in her package. Even New York City, which is 45 minutes away, has already canceled the half a marathon and also the International Auto Show. So yes, people they have some sort of mobility, but what authorities do not want to happen are the large gatherings. And they also need this time, as I mentioned, to disinfect all public spaces, all common spaces. I think that's the most important thing that we're going to see happening in the next 2 weeks. Andrea?
Thank you, Nayeli Chavez-Geller in New Rochelle, New York. Thank you for that information. Meanwhile, on the West Coast in California, passengers are still disembarking from the Grand Princess cruise ship, which finally docked in Oakland on Monday. Dulce Castellanos is in the port of Oakland with the latest on this. Dulce.
That's right. The process to disembark thousands of passengers on board the Grand Princess has been quite the lengthy one. Authorities reported that yesterday they were able to That means that 1,000 of them spent yet another night on board this cruise ship, hoping to finally get off and touch foreigners. And so they are working with the consulates in their home countries to repatriate them. We, of course, will be here expecting the latest on this disembarking process that has been taken over for a few days. That is what we have here in Oakland. I'm Dulce Castellanos. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Dulce Castellanos, reporting from Oakland, California. And as we continue to monitor this situation at the White House today, President Trump will also meet with top Wall Street. A lot of anger after a Missouri man apparently broke a quarantine to attend a father-daughter dance and possibly exposing people to this virus. Today, the attorney for that family is firing back, blaming officials. Carolina Sarasa has the story. The coronavirus outbreak has sparked panic buying. That means people are just buying face masks, cleaning products, and even toilet paper. So why exactly do we do it? Stephen Taylor joins me on the phone. He's the author of The Psychology of Pandemics. He's also a psychiatry professor at the University of British Columbia. Thanks so much for joining us today, Professor. And coming up next, the latest on the race. Major news out of the Bernie Sanders campaign on the heels of last night's Super Tuesday 2 results. The Vermont senator announcing he's staying in the race for the Democratic nomination. Sanders acknowledged last night wasn't a good night for his campaign as former Vice President Joe Biden emerged as the front-runner for the Democratic nomination. Sanders says he's the most popular candidate and will continue to push Biden on the question of electability. Now let's take a look at what happened last night. Joe Biden has now taken command of the Democratic race with his recent victories. The Magic Nine, Univision, and CNN will broadcast a debate among the and multiple sources say U.S. officials told House and Senate lawmakers they don't know which wide rush to get real ID driver's licenses, which will be required to board an airplane in the U.S. after October 1st. But a New York woman says she doesn't have the required documents because her parents are Holocaust survivors. Azul Alvarez explains. Coming up next, former patient in Charlotte, North Carolina, a homeless man was slinging a shovel at another man in the middle of the day. Now both men have been charged. David Romo has the details. Prosecutors are dropping charges against a 76-year-old woman in Maryland who was tackled by police on video. Rena Mellon with dangerous drugs is just part of the job for police officers. In Bartlesville, Oklahoma, one officer had a scary exposure to fentanyl, and it was all caught on camera. Jorge Hernandez reports. Coming up next, the crisis in Harry is finding himself at the center of a possible hoax right after his royal exit. Paola Byron explains what happened. Next, Chef Jesus has tips for preparing your... Now back to the growing coronavirus outbreak and specifically its economic impact. Industries around the globe already feeling the effects of a climate where people are fearful of travel. Those fears could lead to severe hardships for companies in travel-related industries and those workers who rely on them. Nidia Cavazos reports. And some new developments involving travel insurance. One of the largest providers, Alliance. Time now to check in with Lorraine Cáceres with a preview of the second hour of Unews today. Lorraine, what's new?
Thank you, Andrea. President Trump meeting with Wall Street executives as the stock market takes another hit due to coronavirus. We'll get a report from the nation's capital. Plus, schools across the country shutting doors to prevent the spread of coronavirus. But do the closings actually help, and are the costs worth it? We'll tell you what the research says. And activists and lawmakers have a new demand for the government in light of the epidemic. It involves undocumented immigrants who may be afraid to seek medical attention. It's all coming up at the top of the hour on Unews. Andrea, back to you.
Lorraine, thanks so much for that preview of what's to come in the second hour. But first, coming up next, a story of and welcome back to Unews. For many people, having a car is a necessity. And a car is not only a major purchase, it's also one that can keep draining your bank account throughout its lifetime. Grecia Lastra has 5 simple things you can do right now to save on those car costs. Great advice right there. And Uber is taking steps to try to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. The ride-hailing company is adding new precautions. There's something special in the sky. It's a unique star, one that's never been seen before. Amateur astronomers were the first. Beautiful. An act of kindness has saved a man's life. A California couple saw a bicyclist collapse, and they stopped to help. Mariti Marungi has the details. Become hometown heroes. What an inspiration. And thousands of plastic bottle caps that could have ended up in the trash, well, they have been transferred back home. Now that's all the time that we have for the first hour of Unews. I'm Andrea Linares, but remember to stay tuned for the second hour today with Lorraine Cáceres. We have much more information coming up next concerning the coronavirus outbreak and what you can do to stay safe. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to check us out on social media, on Instagram and Facebook at Univision News. Take care.